What's up, y'all? Welcome to episode 8 of the All Net Podcast. I am your host, Mike Logik, and of course, I am joined by the incomparable El Presidente, Shy Native Entertainment.
Shy Native, baby.
Yes, I am speaking about the one, the only I.Deal. I.Deal, how you feeling, brother?
I'm doing fantastic. Calm down. It's all good over here, man. I can't be better, man. We over here talking NBA basketball, and we just gonna keep talking. This is episode 8. I'm glad y'all still rocking with us, man, and everyone else. Make sure you tell a friend about it, and tell a friend, and they tell a friend, and that's how it goes.
And the All Net Podcast could not and would not be possible without our partners, Shy Native Entertainment.
Shy Native, baby.
And True Chicago Sports Fans. And shout out to the True Chicago Sports Fans podcast with E-Rock and Big Z, and the newest member and contributor of the group, the extremely talented Il Brown, who we need to get on here. I really enjoyed their last episode. Il Brown really knows his X's and O's when it comes to breaking down football. So check out their podcast. Speaking of extremely talented, we have another great producer in the spotlight, and he's Encyclopedia Brown, a very talented MC, producer, DJ, a good buddy for many years. Glad to have him providing the beats for what is sure to be another great episode. You can find his music on streaming platforms and follow him on IG at Brown's Eye View. And we are also going to have a special guest, one of my longtime homies and fellow basketball enthusiasts, who has his own podcast, I.Deal. It's called The Greatest Thing Is to Know. He's Denai Wilson, and he will be joining us in a little bit to discuss the Eastern Conference Finals as well as the Western Conference Finals. But first, let's take a look around the league and see what's going on. Let's talk about the All-NBA teams. I'm going to start with the All-Rookie teams. And none of these names should be any, well, except for one that possibly could have made the first team. He made the second team. First team honors go to, for the 2019-2020 All-Rookie team, Ja Morant. No surprise there, Rookie of the Year from the Memphis Grizzlies.
I don't think it was ever in question. I saw something. I don't know if you are staying abreast of all the news, but
I might be.
I would imagine so, being the host of the All Net Podcast. It's an intimidating seat to sit in here as the co-host.
You're doing just fine. You're doing fine.
But I saw something where he tweeted somebody, I guess in the media, regarding the voting. So I looked it up now. After Ja Morant won the Rookie of the Year, he thanked the lone person who did not vote for him as the NBA's top rookie. He took to Twitter, which is obviously the greatest mouthpiece to get it out there.
And I said feelings out there.
Yeah. The vote that kept him from being the 6th unanimous Rookie of the Year came from Chicago Sun-Times columnist Joe Cawley, who voted for New Orleans Pelicans forward Zion Williamson, last year's number 1 overall pick, taken directly before Morant.
You know, Cawley's an asshat. Let's keep it real. He's an ass, but yeah, I thought it should have been unanimous.
Here's the actual appreciate you. Here's the actual tweet. Appreciate you. I'm not gonna do too much. I'm gonna let everybody else do that. I just want to know why. Laugh out loud.
Maybe it's the impact Zion had, because you can't deny the impact he had. He was putting up like 24 points, and I don't have the numbers in front of me right now, but maybe it was the impact. But you can't. Off the sample size that we saw of Zion, you can't give him the Rookie of the Year.
Cowley later explained on Twitter that while Morant was a transcendent player, he believed Rookie of the Year should go to the most impactful.
Yeah.
He said the NBA built a TV schedule around Williamson and his games were must-see TV.
He's not lying. So we'll move on to Kendrick Nunn of the Heat. Ja Morant's teammate Brandon Clark of the Grizzlies. The aforementioned Zion Williamson of the Pelicans. And Eric Pascal, who I actually really liked from the Golden State Warriors. I don't know if you got to see any of his games.
I was thinking of the, isn't there a dude on the Toronto Pascal?
Pascal Siakam.
Getting my Pascals mixed up.
No, Eric Pascal, he's really good. So the second team, we're going to start with I Can Be Your Hero, Baby.
Yes.
Tyler Herro, who I think you can make a case for putting him on the first team. I really do. And right now, Kendrick Nunn is coming off the bench with Tyler Herro. So Kendrick Nunn was starting in the beginning of the season. Terrence Davis of the Toronto Raptors. Kobe White of the Chicago Bulls.
I know him.
Well done, Kobe. I really hope for a great sophomore season, too. PJ Washington Jr. of the Charlotte Hornets. And Rui Hachimura of the Wizards.
Hachimura.
I like that kid, too.
Yeah, from Gonzaga?
From Gonzaga, correct. So all defensive team, this should come as no surprise as well. None of these really should. First team, Giannis.
Okay.
AD,
Okay.
Ben Simmons,
Okay.
Rudy Gobert,
Okay.
and Marcus Smart. My guy, Marcus Smart.
I see no argument with that first team, all defensive team.
And this is what I saw a lot of talk that Brook Lopez was either third or fourth in the voting for all defensive or defensive player of the year. He made second team though. Second team, Brook Lopez, Kawhi Leonard, Bam Adebayo, Eric Bledsoe, and everybody's favorite, Pat Bev. Chris Dunn did receive 31 points in the voting. So people are recognizing that Chris Dunn is a pretty good on-the-ball defender. All NBA first team honors, Giannis, LeBron, Luka, Harden, AD.
The one that stands out to me, Luka, already up there.
Yeah.
I like it. Man, that kid is already. You know what he kind of reminds me of? Not to like throw it off to another sport, but like the impact that Mike Trout had immediately upon his sport.
Yeah.
And like you look at the numbers, and they're only like their first 2-3 years into their career, and they're already walking among the immortals of the game. And I think the sky is the limit for Luka. And is this his first time being on the first?
Yes.
So I think it's the first of many.
I agree with you. What he did in the playoffs, and this is the thing about the playoffs. A lot of people make their names in the playoffs, like Jamal Murray, Donovan Mitchell. Everybody knows who they are now. So back to our NBA All-First team. We got through that. Second team, CP3.
Hey, you know what? I love to talk my stuff, and I even give myself a little bit on it. I thought it was over for you, CP3. I really did. I was already getting the shovel and burying the dirt on you and said it was no good. But man, you showed me something this year.
Congrats,
and
CP3.
you're certainly deserving of being on the second NBA All-Team.
Dame Dollar, Dame Time. The Claw, Pascal Siakam. Pascal Siakam did not look like an all NBA first, second,
I don't know
third,
if you heard
fourth
me.
team.
I was having a little
in the
sip,
playoffs.
I was sip over here, getting a little parched in my vocals, and I was like, Pascal's already up in the.
He averaged 23 points in the regular season. He just did not bring it in the playoffs. Last on the second team, my guy, Joker.
Joker. Huh?
Everyone calls him Joker. I call him Joker if you guys haven't caught on by now.
So you know what? There's a couple names. I would have thought maybe like Tatum would have been on that second team, and or maybe Murray.
Murray didn't make any.
Nah. So it really shows you. Hey, it just really reiterates what I've been saying forever, man. In the playoffs, you gotta have a dog, man. You gotta have a superstar to win in here.
All NBA third team honors. This is where I think it gets interesting. We're gonna start out with Ben Simmons. So Ben Simmons has made. Yes, you're making that face, and I agree with you. Ben Simmons has made the third team All-NBA and also the first team All-NBA defense. Russell Westbrook. Jimmy Butler.
I have no qualms about that.
You're a JB fan?
Yeah, you know what? And I've seen people talking about this, like, especially in Chicago. They're like, man, did we do the right thing moving Jimmy? I'm
conflicted.
No, absolutely, because at the end of the day, Jimmy wouldn't have done nothing, man, here. You know, it just would have been a terrible situation and filled with, negative tension. And, and now he gets to be on the national stage and show everybody exactly what he can do while leading his own team that actually has a chance to contend for a title.
And he really seems like he's grown up. You just watch him interact with his teammates on the court. He's not yelling at everybody because everybody's playing hard. They all have the same mindset. They're going to go out and give a hard 48 minutes and fight every single minute they're in.
I think one of the best things you could say about Jimmy Butler is he's like one of those rare stars that you don't really have to worry too much about him getting his. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Where, some guys, if they don't get the ball enough or get enough touches or enough looks, they're upset. Where I think he's above all that and he can impact the game on multiple levels. And I'm here for it. I've always been a big fan of Jimmy Butler. When he left, I wasn't too happy about it, but I understood it too because it was a great return you got for it.
Yeah,
for the most part.
I was done with Jimmy too, just because I wanted to see him move on. And I wanted to see the Bulls go in a different direction. Probably the wrong move. Probably. But Garden Pax can't do what Pat Riley does.
That's true.
And consistently does. So Jimmy Butler, Jason Tatum.
There you go. There's your guy.
And Rudy Gobert.
Rudy Gobert on the third?
His defense.
That impactful, huh? There's not someone else you think on the offensive end that...
And he gets a lot of lobs. You know, he's a walking double-double. I think he averaged like 14 points, 15 rebounds a game. So.
No, I'm thinking off the top of my head the guys that are in the league that you would think that you'd put above him, you know, and no one really jumps out.
Bradley Beal might have made my third team just because he had to carry the garbage-ass Wizards. He averaged 30 points. I mean, he was doing work.
And them Wizards been doing work. They've been disappearing from the playoffs forever.
But that's gonna do it for our all NBA teams. And I guess we gotta give him his mention. Congrats to the NBA MVP. It's finally announced. Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Like I said, I'm one of the first couple iterations of this show. MVP was Giannis, but
you understand why I have trouble giving him his props.
Absolutely. I'm actually just playing devil's advocate over here and just providing hostility towards your ways just because I like to argue with you. I get it.
I think he's a great player. I think he's an excellent player.
But you could, I get it, because it's the same argument you could have made with Jordan when he was in the league. He could have won MVP every year, honestly.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with LeBron.
Giannis got the most votes. LeBron had the second most. Harden third. And then Luka fourth.
I think we'll see him climbing up those voting ladders per se.
Yeah, and I think that Mavericks team is only going to get better.
You see a future MVP for the league?
For Luka?
Yes,
Luka. I do. I absolutely do.
You see a future title for him?
Yes, I do.
We'll take a look into the Schwami's crystal ball.
I'm going to say before he's 27, he has a title.
Hey, you heard it here. Episode 8 of the All Net podcast. Mike Logik is calling his shot. He stepped out of the baddest box. He says, now y'all about to watch.
And for the final part of this first segment, and I know we talk about this guy a little later in our interview with Denai, but Eric Spoelstra. He is 8th all-time in wins when it comes to the playoffs.
A lot of that was heavy lifting from the Heatles. But like I said, I will digress and say that he's really been impressive as a coach. He really has. He's been consistent. His team responds to them.
2 games away from the finals.
You could tell a lot about a coach just by the nature of his team, obviously. I mean, sounds so rudimentary, but they just seem well organized, and they seem like they have a certain toughness to them, but they also have a certain amount of smartness to them as a team as well, and they don't quit, and they're always there, and they seem to value sharing the ball and all that as well. So kudos to him.
And obviously he's responsible for the development of a lot of their players. He has 81 postseason wins. He is tied with Casey Jones. Doc Rivers is at 7 with 91. The only coaches with more wins than him. Let's see if you recognize any of these names. Number 6, Jerry Sloan, 98.
Yep.
Number 5, Red Auerbach, 99. So we're getting into all-time greats.
Yeah.
Number 4, Larry Brown with 100. Number 3, Greg Popovich with 170. Number 2, his mentor, Pat Riley. Old slick hair himself, 171. And number 1, who I doubt anybody ever catches, Phil Jackson, 229. Spo is 49 years old, I.Deal.
Out of that list of guys that you listed, who's the worst coach in there in your opinion?
Larry Brown.
That's where I was going.
You're putting me on the spot. I was not expecting that question, but yeah, Larry Brown.
You're welcome, Michael.
I'm not gonna say Red Auerbach, no way. Jerry Sloan didn't win a title.
You see how I steered you right into that one? I'm like, let's go.
But do we have to say Jerry Sloan because he didn't win a title?
I think Jerry Sloan was a far better coach than
X's and O's?
Yeah.
Yes. Managing players?
Yes.
Yes. So Spo's 49, like I said.
I'm sure if we can reach out to Allen Iverson, he'd tell us that.
he loves Larry Brown now. So he became the head coach in 2008 after Pat Riley stepped down. He is a 2-time champion who's only missed the playoffs twice in his tenure. He is very close to going back to the finals. Shout out Eric Spoelstra.
Question for you. Since we already had
right.
Uncle I.Deal's crystal ball.
No notes in front of me, folks. This is on tap.
We know what, though? Get a little peek behind the whole thing. He's got all the notes. I can tell you how many notes I got. Is Spoelstra gonna end up being a Hall of Famer?
You can put him in the Hall of Fame right now.
Hey, I like that, man. You're listening to episode 8 of the All Net Podcast. It's your boy I.Deal, joined alongside with Mike Logik.
Yeah.
You already know what it is, man. We'll be right back after this message, you heard?
Welcome back to the All Net Podcast. It is my pleasure to introduce our guest for the show. He is the host of the Greatest Thing Is to Know podcast, and he is Denai Wilson. Denai, what's going on, man?
Not much, man. Hey, thank you guys for having me here on the All Net Podcast, man. I've been watching you guys seeing some of the clips online and stuff like that. So
our pleasure, man.
Oh yeah. We definitely appreciate you coming through and chopping it up with us and talking all things basketball, NBA. Let's get into it.
So real quick before we get into basketball, tell us a little bit about your podcast, the inspiration behind it, where folks can hear it.
Yeah, for sure. So the Greatest Thing Is to Know podcast it's on Apple, it's on Spotify, SoundCloud. Simply put, the greatest thing is to know is I am the host that's passionate about the bigger picture, okay? And I talk about all things society and culture, really, and throw some sports in there too, because, I feel like that is a part of our society and culture, to be honest with you. So the greatest thing is to know is a wide range of just me giving my opinion on topics of my choice, right? Things that I am passionate about. And simply put, I start the show with this and I end it with it. Is saying that if you don't know, you don't know, right? Like, we're not going to hold it against you, right? But when you know, the greatest thing is to know. All right. So it's a wide range of things, but if you come there, you'll be engaged. You'll be interested in continuing the conversation.
Yeah, I like that because you know what? There's only like so much you can claim ignorance until you've actually been put on and been informed, and then from there it's really on you to go ahead and take what that information you've been given and apply it.
Exactly.
So you're a basketball enthusiast, so let's talk some basketball. First of all, I want to get your reaction to the Rockets-Lakers series in the semis. How did you think that series was gonna go, and what was your overall reaction to how it did go?
Well, I thought that series was going to, especially after game 1, I thought that was going to go like 5 or 6 games. But, the Daniel House suspension or
saga,
or expulsion, that really changed the series because that's a guy that could guard LeBron on one end, at least guard LeBron, or stay in front of him, and then on the other end, hitting three.
Yeah, so they were bringing him off the bench at that point, but yes, to your point, he can hit threes, and he's a bigger defender who can possibly guard LeBron.
Yeah, and I thought that when he was no longer with them, you could just see it in the Rockets' body language, where they were like, "Oh, what do we do?" And especially with Westbrook playing as bad as he was just throwing up bricks all series.
He was terrible
really had
in game
much of a
2.
spark.
It looked like
even game 3 he had 30, but it wasn't
an efficient 30. And to me, it just looked like they gave up after that first game. It was just like they got beaten up on game 2, and they're just like, all right, we're out.
First game, they gave it all they had, and then after that, they just ran out of gas.
So for me, I'm wondering, like, where does Houston go? Because it almost seems to me like James Harden, you have to move him because it's just not working. Every player that's come to play with him, would you agree that it just seems like they've gotten worse playing next to him?
See, I don't think they're going to move him because, he's the face, but like I can see them moving Westbrook. I can see him not winning. I can see the Rockets not winning winning a championship. Like all of that because of how the ball just stays in one guy's hand and dribble. That's just not efficient basketball. Like, it's very easy to play. It's very easy to defend. So if James Harden is going to continue being that player, I can't really say that
how
I have high hopes for them.
How about go get a big man? Start there. They traded away Clint Capella, and I really think, Clint Capella, he doesn't put up big numbers, but he could have had an effect on that series, I think, just from his size. They had nobody that could stop AD. AD was just punishing people. PJ Tucker had that first game against them where there was 26 possessions and PJ Tucker didn't let him score a basket. After that, AD decided, I'm going to be super aggressive. I'm going to punish people down in the post. And they had no size and no shot blockers for when LeBron James tries to drive to the basket.
Right, exactly, yeah. So Clint Capella could have definitely protected the rim there, and and just provided another alternative off of pick and roll, because everything was Harden, dribble, pick and roll, kick to a three.
I hate that brand of basketball. I really hate that isolation, dribble brand of basketball. And I think it's really stupid too to make Russell Westbrook has to be a ball dominant guard. To do the same thing you did with CP3, take the ball out of his hands. It's a dumb trade for me.
Yeah, it really is. We thought that it might work because they played in Oklahoma City early on, but like not to where those guys are at now. They're good athletes, or Westbrook's a good athlete, and that's what I liked about Westbrook being at the 2, is that he would attack. Like during the regular season, it was get the ball and go to the rim. Go to the rim and then set somebody up. But now it's like he's settling for those 15-footers and not even getting out in transition anymore. So he's just never been a guy that I was ever really high on, to be honest.
Yeah, so the Rockets have a lot to look at this offseason. But let's move on to the Clippers and Nuggets series. How about that? What was your reaction to that series? Epic fail.
Oh, yeah. I mean, 100%. I thought that this wasn't more about how good the Nuggets were. I thought this is how bad the Clippers failed. And yes, they're in their first year, and we can, Miami got that when they had LeBron and D-Wade, and they had that first year to figure it out as well. But the Clippers, the fact that they thought they could just turn it on, right?
Yes.
They weren't able to get over that. They didn't have camaraderie. I didn't see them fight for each other. I saw them kind of fight individually.
No leadership.
It was a collection of pieces that were just put together, but they never actually meshed and gelled. And like going back to your point, I think they kind of like tried to cakewalk through the season. Like, oh, we're good. Don't worry. Oh, you take the night off, and then you take the night off. And when the playoffs come, we'll be ready to rock. And it don't work that way.
No way. Not especially in the playoff where fans aren't going to be a factor. Guys, you hear guys talking. They're talking the most on the bench. Pat Beverly, mostly him, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but he's a chirper.
He got his Timbs on and his black Air Forces.
Yeah, just talking, and it's like, all right,
Chicago
what are we doing here? But in a game 7, I thought, the Clippers were just a bigger fail than it was more of a Denver success.
Paul George and Kawhi Leonard in the fourth quarter of Game 7, a donut as far as points, 0 points.
How different do you think this series would have been had there actually been home court advantage and actual fans and we were living in quote unquote normal times? Because I almost feel like if there had been that factor, then I think the Clippers would have got out of it.
Oh yeah, I just think that it's a different. Here's what the funny thing is, and to answer your question, but I'm kind of just bringing it all around, is AAU style, right? Like the AAU style, it's like a few people in the gym, like they have these guys that never really played with each other and try to be successful. But guess what you're dealing with there? You're dealing with each other. Like you're not dealing with the crowd. You're dealing with trying to motivate the next guy that you really don't even know. And then you got another team on the other end who have been playing for 4 years together, and they have that team aspect. So I think that if the crowd was there, it could have helped with the travel. That's the only thing that I could think of. But I could see it being a Game 7 where Denver wins in Denver, or it wouldn't have been that, but if that was the case.
Yeah. And let me just say this. The Toronto Raptors experiment with Kawhi was coming to a complete team already. They just needed a superstar. They had an all-star in DeRozan. So you take DeRozan out, you insert Kawhi. That's why that experiment worked, but also the Golden State Warriors were beat up. I'm going to have to say that. I'm not going to put an asterisk next to that championship for Toronto, but Golden State Warriors were beat up.
Let me ask you, are we at the point now where we can stop this nonsense and saying Kawhi is one of the best players in the league and he's better than LeBron? And
we can stop that.
We can stop the LeBron part. He's one of the best players in the league, but like we talk about just how LeBron shows up every year in shape, ready to go.
Yes.
This is the 17th year. Kawhi is struggling to get through
60 games.
A finals. 60 games and a final. He just looked tired to me. When it came down to it, he looked tired, and it wasn't like I was doing everything tired. He just looked like he just wasn't. His body wasn't ready.
He came up short a couple times in those games.
I think they, as a whole, as a team, they just looked like they weren't, quote, like almost saying they weren't in shape. They weren't ready to play. It's like they just got out of the quarantine and they were like, "Yeah, we're just gonna show up and we'll be good." And it didn't work like that. So epic fail to the Clippers. They got clipped.
How do you guys feel? I feel like a lot of it's on Doc Rivers.
I was just about to ask you, is Doc safe?
Hey.
Because I don't know if you've seen this meme. Well, there's a malpractice lawsuit going on in Los Angeles for a malpractice from a doctor, and it was Doc Rivers.
I think Doc is safe for next season.
Funny. Yeah, I don't know if he's safe though. I said that on my podcast after the Game 7. I said, "Is Doc Rivers?
Is he that good of a coach?
How do you not get it? Is he that? I don't know.
He's an overachiever. I
think he's still almost living off the Boston championship, and from looking at it, I think he got out coached that series by Malone.
Oh yeah,
he did
100%.
But I say
every time, if you guys just panned over to Doc Rivers a couple like throughout the series, he would have his hands on his knees looking at plays. Like, what kind of body language is that for your team to see? Like, he was just at points where I remember there was one point it was like going into half, and I think it was Jeremy Grant goes coast to coast and makes a left-handed layup, and it's like his body language isn't motivating for a guy like Kawhi, who that he's not very expressive and stuff like that. So leadership wise, I just don't know how you lose a Game 7 to that team.
Yeah, and my favorite coaching season for Doc Rivers was last season, actually. Taking that team to the playoffs. I actually think he did a really good job last season. But he's an overachiever. He takes teams that overachieve, and that's why he has successful seasons with some of them. But he's been up quite a few times or favored in many series and blown it. So I don't have this huge admiration for Doc Rivers like everybody else. But let's move on to the Eastern Conference and Western Conference Finals, because this is where it gets good. Boston, Miami, how are you feeling about that series so far?
Well, before last night's game, I was surprised that Boston was down 2-0 because they had, and I didn't catch Game 1, but they had big leads in the second half, and they just failed to attack. They took their foot off the pedal really, and dealing with a team like the Heat. Oh, they smell blood. They're going after it.
Yeah.
Spoelstra is going to coach them like every possession. So that I think they're tougher than Boston, but Boston has the potential to really level up guys like Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum.
Boston has the star power behind them.
I gotta just say that I gotta throw my bouquet of roses at Spoelstra because it was such an easy narrative. When he had the Heatles and everything, and you're like, he ain't doing a good job coaching. Man, that guy has been consistently one of the best coaches for the last couple of years in the NBA, man.
For sure. Yeah. And I like him because he's like, how it starts from the top. Like, he started in the film room or whatever. And, he really is going to give everything under leadership like Pat Riley and I think your team, like even Dwayne Wade,
I think your team is a direct reflection of you, and in just the way that they play defense and they scramble and rotate, I love it. And they move the ball extremely well too on the offensive end.
They're fun to watch.
So Duncan Robinson, what's the point guard? Dragic.
Yeah, Dragic.
Like all those guys have little things about them that make them a really solid team.
So let's go to OT of that first game. I take a lot of notes tonight. I'm a basketball nerd. I'll be watching the games and
do your thing.
So let's go to the game one. We're in OT now. Celtics go up 4, then Dragic gets fouled and knocks down his free throws. Crowder makes a 26-foot three-pointer. The Heat are now up 111-110. Then Bam makes a dunk off a lob from Tyler Herro. The Heat are up 113-110. Jaylen Brown makes a tip-in shot. Kemba Walker makes a 14-foot step back, and I thought Herro played him really well on defense as well as he could. But that shot by Kemba put the Celtics up 114-113. So 23 seconds left. Miami needs to make a play. Who better for them to make a play than their star, Jimmy Butler? He puts his head down, takes Tatum to the basket, makes an and one, and it was a highly contested shot. It wasn't an easy.
Oh my God, it was so tough.
Yeah. So now the Celtics need their star to make a play, right? Jason Tatum, he gets the ball. He's on the right side. He puts his head down, goes to the hole. He cocks back, and he looks like he is about to put down an epic dunk. And then Bam Adebayo slides over and makes one of the greatest defensive plays I've ever seen in a playoff game and blocks Jason Tatum's dunk.
That was one of those that, like, you don't even see those kind of contests at the rim anymore. Like, when you think about, like, early Alonzo Mourning blocks, like the Kimbe, like people that meet people at the rim, right? Like, you could break your hand on the rim. Like, that was
close to it. That thing was bent back.
Right, yeah. So you saw Bam did a hell of a job of Bam did a hell of a job of just timing that perfectly and just snatch that bad boy.
And the best part about it too, how often do you see a guy make a clean block, but then they get the call for the body foul, and he was actually able to avoid that as well. Fantastic play all the way around. That's probably one of those plays that'll live in like playoff lore forever. You'll see that in the highlights clips.
And then game two was pretty much, it started out very similar to game one, but the Celtics were up pretty big at half. 60-47. And this is what the Celtics have been doing all series, going up big. They've had leads of well over 14, and they blow these leads. They're still a young team, but when we're talking about playoff basketball and championship basketball, you got to be able to sustain leads.
Yeah, and they are super young. Their oldest player is in his second year in the league, and that's what's the backup point guard?
Smart?
No. Wanamaker.
Oh. He's 30.
Like, he's the oldest player on the team, but he's his third year in the league?
Yeah, he's 30.
It's crazy.
He's 30.
They're very young.
So they go up big, 60-47, and then they go up 17 at one point in game two, and then the Heat implement this 1-3-1 zone, and it just seems like the Celtics were shell-shocked, like they had never practiced how to beat a zone.
Yeah.
And they weren't moving the ball well. They were trying to do pick and roll with Daniel Tice. They really weren't. They were settling for shots. They were not picking apart a zone like they should have been.
Like passing the ball, right? Because
passing the ball, getting the defense moving, and then driving, and then kicking out. They were trying to force passes. They were settling for outside shots, especially Jason Tatum. I wasn't happy with his shot selection, and Bam once again he took over in the second half. He's really capitalizing off his dives to the basket, because who's going to stop them? Daniel Tice is not going to stop Bam Adebayo.
Those are the two things that I think you hit him right on the head. Is the fact that Bam was just amazing at the rim. Like, he was just getting lobs, dunking everything, and then figuring out the zone. And that's how I think the Celtics were able to pull out yesterday's game. Yeah,
because yesterday's game, I thought both teams started out really well defensively. The Celtics came out red hot. They were shooting 50%. Jaylen Brown had 8 points in the first quarter. And I don't know about you, but I'm a huge Jaylen Brown fan tonight. Like, I really think he's underrated and he's going to be a superstar one day.
Yeah, I think he can play, don't get me wrong. I just don't see him being the guy that you're like, let me get a bucket on the wing when I need a basket.
He's not
splashing.
He's not the guy that you're going to win a championship over, right? Because of him, right? He's not the 1A.
Oh, and I still don't even know if he fits with Jason Tatum as well. I really don't. But, they're young. You have to pay these guys. You can't just let these guys. There's been too many horror stories of guys like James Harden leaving OKC. Like, that's the idea.
I've seen improvement from year one till now. When he came in when he was drafted from California, people were saying Danny Ainge was reaching on that pick, and that this guy was a project. Well, the project seems to be working out, because now he has a jump shot and a three-point shot that he can rely on. He shot 38% from the three. We've seen him in this series and in the playoffs and all season long being able to put the ball on the floor, create his own shot. He gets to the basket, at will. He's extremely athletic and one of the most tenacious defenders in the league.
Sure. I love his all-around game. It definitely is why he stays on the floor.
So in game 3, we got to see Hayward make his playoff debut, and I really think Hayward being in the lineup for them, at least coming off the bench. Look, Gordon Hayward averaged in the regular season 17.5 points, 6.7 rebounds, and 4.1 assists. So you can bring that off your bench. I think that's going to bode well for the Celtics.
And he had some size to them too, because they're strong.
I've always been a my strong belief that in the NBA, it's like such a sport where, only a couple superstars can dominate the ball. It's not like baseball where you get your one at bat and you get it every couple innings, or like football, there's 10 other guys on there. There's only 5 guys on there. So in order to win in the NBA, I really feel that you need superstars. And the team that has more superstars, and to me, a superstar is a guy that you can screw the offense. We need a bucket right now, and you isolate and you go get buckets because that's what you do. You just eat. Who has more superstars between these two teams?
Or players with superstar potential?
I'm gonna say.
Is it really just Jimmy out there that you would say is a superstar, or is Jimmy not even a superstar?
He's not a superstar. No, I don't think the only person that I think potentially has, I don't think he's there yet, but it's Tatum that has superstar potential.
Yeah, I see that for sure.
Star-wise, I think that Bam and Jimmy are probably a little bit better than Jalen and Tatum.
That's what I was getting to. Who do you think ultimately is going to win this series?
Yeah, I think that Miami Heat will pull out in.
Yes, sir. I've been telling the host of the All Net podcast, Michael, all playoff series to jump on that Heat bandwagon. And he's been slacking. He didn't want to jump on there, but now he's starting to become a witness to the excellence that is the Miami basketball organization.
Oh yeah,
for real, man. No, it's really made me realize it. Like I remember Mike, you know those days, early 2011, 2010, Miami, the Bulls. Those games, like I remember being one of the, because I'm a big LeBron fan. I'm the one of the few that's just rooting for the Heat, right? And you just see the tenacity of that organization and how they develop guys. Pat Riley makes sure that the right guys are in place.
Yeah, he does. He's one of the greatest to ever do it too, coaching and GM. So the Boston Celtics, they finally held on to a lead, sorta. They were up big in that game as well, and then the Heat got it within 6 in the fourth quarter, but they did enough to get out with a win. But I got to give props to Tyler Herro. He came out that first quarter, that first half. He finished with 18 first half points. What are your thoughts on Tyler Herro?
Boy is a dog, man. Like he's been one of those guys that's just been. Every time I see him play, I like him more.
Don't you think he eventually could ascend to maybe a superstar?
I feel it. It felt that way. A couple of those shots last night, it felt that way. Like he's like, Jason Tatum isn't better than me. Like attitudes like that. Yeah. Like I love it.
No conscience.
Guys shoot. No conscience. Like really coming out there. It reminds me. This is maybe a bit of a stretch, but Ray Allen a little bit. He's got a little Ray Allen in it.
I think he'll take that.
That'll work.
He'll take that comparison.
He's got that like hands ready to attack. You don't know what I'm going to do. And on the defensive end, he's big. He's 6'7". Like that, he's got the potential for that next star position.
I've been calling him a star since the first time I seen him play in AAU. My nephew played in those tournaments as well, and anyone that's a big, the high school sports basketball, they knew Jordan McCabe. So I was like, yo, I got to go see Jordan McCabe. So I was watching, and then I was like, yo, who is that dude, though? And I was telling Mikey, even back when he was in 8th grade, I'm like, Tyler Herro.
Yeah. What time? Were they on the same team?
No, they were just in the same tournament, and I knew he was going to be there. So I went to watch the game, and I was putting on my scouting cap, and I was like, oh, I like this kid's game.
So my last thought on this series, real quick, is Jimmy Butler. So we just had the discussion: is he a superstar or not? I've been arguing with people. shout out Cadillac Seville. he continues to say Jimmy Butler is a star, and me and Daniel are continue to give it to him. Like, no, he's not a superstar. Jimmy Butler seems to want to just lay in the weeds. He doesn't go basket hunting, but he is the leader of this squad. I think the Heat really need him to get his offense going earlier on instead of try to get everybody else involved. He only had 10 points going into the fourth last night.
Yeah, I read a story the other day about how that was, like a thing that he said that he was mindful of, kind of just easing into the game. But I'm like, this is the playoffs. Like, where do you have time to do that?
Yeah.
Killer
instinct has to take over. It
sounded like BS. It sounded like BS, but like, he definitely needs to step it up, I think, so for them to take the series.
All right, so the series is 2-1. How do you predict this series finishes?
I'm gonna go Heat in 6.
I said Heat in 7.
Michael, no one wants you on the Heat bandwagon now. You had an opportunity 2 playoff series ago. You can't jump on it now.
Hey,
it's full.
But this is the thing, though. The Celtics could have easily won all 3 of those games. They were up huge. So let's take that in consideration. The Celtics do what they need to do to win. They have a chance in this series, and they can win the series for sure. Moving on.
I feel like they have momentum right now.
Yeah, the Celtics have the momentum. They know that they can beat this team. That's the thing. They know they can beat this team. And not just beat this team, but they can beat this team by a lot of points. But moving on to the Western Conference. The Los Angeles Lakers versus the Denver Nuggets. Everybody was excited for game 1. A lot of people jumping on the Nuggets bandwagon after what they did against the Jazz, coming back from that 3-1 series. And then the Clippers, who were the highly favored team to win that series, and by most to win the NBA championship. They were beating their chest, the bandwagoners were, and like, oh, they better watch out for Joker. They better watch out for Jamal Murray. Well, the Lakers weren't really too concerned with them.
No, I think that the mentality that the Lakers have, they're still focused on the prize, right? Like they're looking at championship like they were prior to even, listen, the Lakers, you could say it's probably the easiest route that LeBron will probably ever have to the final. But at the same time, I don't think that mentality changed before the Clippers got eliminated, where he thought that, we all thought that was going to be the matchup. That would have been a better one. But I think that they're just going to put their foot on the necks of Denver and take this series in 5.
Lakers shot 32 free throws in the first half. Was that bad officiating, or was Denver just fouling and not moving their feet? And is that on the refs, or is that on Denver?
I thought the refs were a little trigger happy. I did feel that way. I felt like there were some things, especially who they were calling the fouls on. Murray picked up 2 quick ones, and then Jokic couldn't. He's the focal point of that offense. So if he's not on the floor, or if he's playing kind of tentative.
Yeah, three of their starters were in foul trouble. Murray, Joker, and Millsap all had 3 at the end of the half.
Yeah, refs need to chill.
So you're predicting ultimately we're going to get a Lakers Heat finals.
Yes, sir.
And who you got? I know you're probably caping up with Michael here on the LeBron bandwagon as well. You going with the Lakers then?
Yeah, I got the Lakers. I think the Lakers is just...
So it'll be LeBron's 4th championship, huh?
LeBron will win his 4th championship this year.
Real quick, who did you think should have won the NBA MVP for the regular season? Was it Giannis? Or did the man in the purple and gold?
It's so hard because there's so many years where you're like, LeBron should have won. And I understand it's like this popularity contest where media people vote. I don't like that aspect of it. But I thought LeBron, leading the league in assists was something that you could put up there to be like, oh, look what he could do in year 17, right? And getting the number 1 seed and all that. So I thought that there was a shot for him to have it. But I don't know if you saw the interview that came out 2 days ago where he said
he was pissed.
It didn't. The MVP voting doesn't make sense to me. It's like
it doesn't.
Marc Gasol 1 year got the
defensive player of the year.
The 2nd team.
Yeah, how do you do that? How do you do that? I don't know.
Right.
So Lakers won 126-114. I'm expecting the Lakers to win this in 6. You guys?
Okay.
The Lakers will win. Doesn't matter. It'll probably be 5. They might give 1 to the Nuggets, but I don't see this going anything more than 6 or 7.
Yeah, the Nuggets got to be tired too, man.
Yeah.
They got to be tired.
So I really want to thank you, Denai, for jumping on here, talking some basketball with us. I'll let you get on with your day, but just let the people once again know where they can hear your podcast and how they can follow you.
Yeah, follow me at Don't Deny It on Instagram and Twitter. The podcast is on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud. Just type in The Greatest Thing Is to Know, and you'll see it pop up. It's a big bright red icon. So tune in with me, man. I just kind of come in there and just give my thoughts on things, and I think you guys would enjoy it. So
do you drop? Sorry, go ahead.
Anytime you guys want to come on, let me know.
I appreciate that. Do you drop like a regular schedule? Like we're like every 2 weeks, or is it just when something comes out and you feel the need to put out content?
I'm out every Wednesday.
Oh, nice.
Every Wednesday. So it's really a lot of times it's just thoughts off the top of my head about, it could be social issues, it could be just hoops. Depends on what I'm feeling that week. So it's different, but I do it. I challenge myself every week to put something out.
I like that. It's not just basketball and not just sports.
You never run out of things to talk about. And it's a very dope podcast. So everybody out there, go check it out. Denai, thank you again, man. We're going to be checking in with you. As these playoffs go on, I'm going to see what your thoughts are. But, you can always hit me up, man. It's always a pleasure talking to you.
Definitely. Thank you, Mike. I'll talk to you guys soon.
All right, man. Be good.
Later,
Peace.
brother. Yes. That was Denai Wilson of the Greatest Thing Is to Know podcast. You're listening to the All Net Podcast. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Don't go nowhere. All right, y'all. Welcome back to the All Net Podcast with Mike, Logik, and I.Deal. That was a great interview we had with Denai. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, buddy.
Right now, we are going to roll out. Oh, that's a nice little segue. We're going to roll out a new segment for you.
Roll out.
Yes. We're going to do a new mailbag segment called What You Got in That Bag.
In the world is in that bag. What you got in that bag? In the world is in that bag. What you got in that bag?
I love this because this is audience interaction.
Yeah, I've been telling people you got
ain't had
questions
to
for
choose
us.
to do it.
No. But I've been telling people if you got questions for us, we would love to answer them. And shout out Young Drew. His question is I.Deal. Is Jamal Murray just a new version of Darren Williams?
Ooh, no, absolutely not. I don't think so.
All right, let's look at the numbers. We're going to compare the first.
What, you have an opinion on this, or you want to get right into your numbers?
I'll get to it at the end.
All right. Keep them in suspense. I see. Seems like you had a little media training as well.
Only from you. The best. So, Darren Williams, his rookie season, 2005. His first season he played, and he averaged 10.8 points, 4.5 assists, 2.4 rebounds, 42% from the field, 41% from the three. He averaged right under 3 attempts per game from the three. He started 47 games in those 47 games that he played, 39 wins and 41 losses. Averaged 28.8 minutes per game. All right, Jamal Murray's rookie season, 2016. 9.9 points, 2.1 assists, 40% from the field, 33% from the three, 4.2 averaged from the three, 10 games only started, 21 and a half minutes per game, 40 wins, 42 losses. Darren Williams already off to a better start with more minutes. Season 2, more minutes played, so higher point production and assist production and all that. Williams, 2006, 16.2 points per game, 9.3 assists, 3.3 rebounds, 45% from the field, 32% from the three. Big drop off. 3.2 threes attempted per game, 80 starts though. 51 wins, 29 losses, 30 double-doubles, 36.9 minutes per game, I.Deal.
Quit boring everyone.
I just wanted to play that. Carry on.
All right, 2017 I.Deal. Jamal Murray's second season. 16.7 points per game, 3.4 assists, 3.7 rebounds, 45% from the field, 37% from the three on 4.4 average. 80 starts, 46 wins, 35 losses, 31.7.
Are we really taking this deep dive into it, your whole career?
Yes, it's only 4 seasons.
But I feel like you don't need the data to tell you that Jamal Murray has a more advanced game than Darren Williams did. Who had a better handle?
I disagree with you.
Give me that.
I say it's I say it's
Who?
I say it's even.
No disrespect to Darren Williams because I loved him coming out of
I say
Illinois
it's
as
even
well.
because he was really good off the pick and roll.
But he had a sharp ascent and an even sharper decline.
So look at Darren Williams in season 3. 18.8 points per game and 10.5 assists.
Okay.
All right. 50% from the field, 39% from the three. So he averaged about 2.6.
All right. What did Murray give me in his year 3?
18.2 points.
Okay.
4.8 assists. Big difference in assists. Maybe because Darren Williams didn't have a Joker type. 43% from the field, 36% from the three.
Didn't Darren Williams have more assists?
Yeah. I'm saying Jamal Murray had that low amount of assists compared to Darren Williams, 10.5 assists.
He
had Carlos Boozer too.
I was gonna say, wouldn't you have more assists if you had a big man that you had to feed?
Yeah, Carlos Boozer. Darren Williams.
Yeah.
Jamal Murray has Joker. Jamal Murray has people on his team that can score. He is a scorer for his point guard. That's the difference, I think. The Nuggets didn't make the playoffs that year. They lost to the Blazers in Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals. I didn't get to say in 2007 the Jazz made the playoffs, where they lost to guess who in the Western Conference Finals in 2007?
2007. It was a good time in the country.
One of my favorite players of all time was on that team.
I don't know who.
The Spurs. They swept that garbage ass team that LeBron brought to the finals. 2007. All right, 2008. This is season 4. 19.4 points per game for Williams. 10.7 assists. Those are excellent numbers. Agreed?
2 years in a row.
Agreed?
Yeah, of course.
But his points and his assists both went up. 47% from the field, 31% from the 3. So
how much from the 3?
31%.
Ooh, trouble was already brewing.
44 double-doubles. They lost to the Lakers in the Western Conference semifinals. Murray's season this season. 18.5 points per game, 4.5 assists, 4 rebounds, 45% from the field, 34% from the 3, on an average of 5.5. 59 starts. He had some injury problems. 38 wins, 21 losses, 32.3 minutes per game. So Darren Williams played more minutes per game in his first 4 seasons. He was heavily used in comparison to Jamal Murray. But scoring-wise, we got to give it to Murray, right?
I mean, it's really splitting hairs at this point. They were both efficient on the end. I just think the hindsight is 2020, and we already seen what happened with Darren Williams' career. Who's to say Jamal Murray won't avoid all that? Because I don't know what the heck happened to Darren Williams. Was it the system in Utah, and then once he left, because he made an All-Star, didn't he?
He was good in Brooklyn for a while. So for Murray's first 4 seasons, his career average for points per game is 15.6. But he's such a high volume scorer, right? So once he gets it going, I think he has that over Darren Williams, that big game point production, because Darren Williams never had these 40, 50-point games in the playoffs.
I do believe, though, Darren Williams probably was a better facilitator of the offense.
Definitely. And that was the next criteria. Passing, I don't even think it's close. I think Darren Williams by a mile.
I used to love Darren Williams' game. He was one of those bigger point guards, probably over 225, almost 230 in his frame, and about 6'5". You're a big-ass dude at that point. Yeah, go eat.
He's a big dude. Overall shooter, I'm going to say Jamal Murray, although mid-range, I give it to D. Will.
Yeah, D. Will had that nice little pull-up.
Defense. I'm going to give it to Darren Williams. Do you remember Darren Williams? He was a very good one-on-one defender when he was in Brooklyn. Later on in his career, when he was in his prime, he was probably the best at defense as far as locking down people, being a tough defender. So I'm going to give it to Darren Williams there. Darren Williams played from 2005 to 2017. 3-time All-Star, went to the playoffs 9 seasons. Jamal Murray has played 4 seasons, been to the playoffs twice already. He's played some of the greatest offensive ball that I've seen in the playoffs, and he's only 23. I project he will be an all-star more times than Darren Williams, and he's going to have the better career. What do you think?
I absolutely agree. That's what I said from the beginning.
Well, I just want to wrap it up.
No, I agree. No, I'm not giving you no grief about it. I'm just saying,
So we like this comparison. This was a good question.
No, it was. We appreciate the question by all means, but for me, I always say it's like, it goes back to when someone asks if somebody in any sport should be a Hall of Famer. You don't need to go all deep into things like that. It's an immediate question. So when someone asks us which player is going to be better, or who is Jamal Murray a poor man's Darren Williams?
No, he's not.
No, we both agree. I think he has the potential and the ability to probably be even better than what.
Yeah, because Darren Williams would not be a Hall of Famer. No, he won't.
And I don't know about Murray either.
He's only 23, man. He's got
23. He's got
a lot of time. And my only knock on Jamal Murray, as far as consistency goes, you put up 40, 50, you can't come back the next night with 14, 15. You got to keep it in the 20s. You're trying to be a superstar. That's what superstars do.
I absolutely agree. If you're a superstar and you're trying to put yourself in that upper echelon and that's how you view yourself and you want to be treated, there's no excuse not to get you 20 a game. You find a way.
So thank you, Young Drew, for that awesome question.
Yes, sir.
Letting us roll out our mailbag segment, what you got in that bag.
Uh-huh.
This is going to do it for AllNet episode 8 with Mike, Logik, and I.Deal. Shout out and thank you to Encyclopedia Brown for providing the soundscapes which you heard in this episode. Shout out Shy Native Entertainment and true Chicago sports fans. So until next time, enjoy the playoffs. I am Mike Logik.
And I'm your boy I.Deal.
Thank you for listening. We are out of here. Peace.
Yeah.
Swish.